I'm so glad you could join me here today. I went ahead and videoed this the night before our meeting just in case we had some technical difficulties at the meeting. So, plus I was down to my last batch at home, so I'm going to go ahead and make me a little bit tonight to have with the meeting tomorrow, and then we'll also make more tomorrow so you can be alongside me. So, the biggest ingredient and the first thing I told you guys about was the Diatomaceous Earth. This is the bag I've got. This I got at, gosh, a food store somewhere in Weatherford that was on sale. But you get them, I've gotten it off of Amazon and the feed stores. Make sure when you buy this that you get food grade. It is a different product, the food grade versus the commercial. Food grade is totally harmless. Commercial can be bad if you breathe it in, and it's got different properties. So again, just make sure it is food grade. Usually Harris is the brand that I've used thus far, and it's been good. So, but I really don't think it makes a huge difference. What this is, it's fossilized algae, and there's just a few different companies that do that. So I start out with the dry mixture of the Diatomaceous Earth. So basically they just crumble up those algae, and you're left with a very heavy silica base. So I'm going to mix in the dry ingredients first. This is what I've done recently. So. Okay. Oh, were you not filming? Some baking soda. I would guess it was probably a tablespoon or so. The other dry ingredients. The Dead Sea salt. Once you add the Dead Sea salt, this is not good to eat, okay? So, the baking soda, I added that. It's good for pulling things out of your body and cleansing, and that's how soap's made to overheat for a long period of time. Here's the Dead Sea salt. I just grab a little handful of it and add that in. Coco's helping us as well. She doesn't know how to behave. Alright, and last but not least, the cinnamon. I actually take capsules of cinnamon. It's really good for the circulation, for cardiovascular. So adding that in, I really do feel like it helps activate it. So I'm going to blend this all up, start out a little bit. So after this gets mixed in, we've got 2 more ingredients. I'm going to rinse my hands off. You can keep them whatever you like to add. The 2 main ingredients left are honey and coconut oil. Originally I started with just the 3 main ingredients with the Diatomaceous Earth, the coconut oil, and the honey, and that was great together. But when we added the sea salt and the cinnamon, and the baking soda, there was something that kind of happened with it chemically to where it gave it just a little bit more of a kick to it. So anyway, I feel like it kind of brought the metabolism up and helped burn things a little bit faster that way. Originally I did equal parts Diatomaceous Earth and honey and coconut oil. As I've worked on it, and your parts may change with what you're adding depending on what you're working on. But I like actually a lot more coconut oil and a little bit less honey in the mixture. So still you'll see I'm adding it in and it's slowly working its way into each individual powder. The order that you mix it in does seem to make a difference as well, and also heating and not heating also makes a difference. So those are just different factors. Maybe just a little bit more honey. Honey is a wonderful antibacterial. It keeps forever, very nutritional. Local honey helps with allergies. So again, it's one of those superfood things. Everything in here but the Dead Sea salt is edible. Don't eat it once you do the Dead Sea salt because it has stuff that may not be pure to eat. I need my cameraman to help me open up the coconut. Thanks to my big strong guys, we got the coconut oil open and got the little lid thing on the top. And we're actually going to use all this coconut oil in our mixture today. So very heavy on the coconut oil, a little bit lighter on the other stuff. What this will do is it'll make it a little bit more diluted with the DE, but it'll be probably a little bit better for you guys starting out. So slowly we mix it in as it's going. Jason says it's going to take a while to blend in. If we want to cut away a little bit and come back and kind of do it periodically, that'll probably be good. Alright, so we've got about half of the coconut oil in there. We're going to continue to add it in. We continue to mix it because it's infusing in with the dry, and you'll notice a difference when you mix it in ahead of time, that it actually cooks a little bit different with the DE once you add the heat to it. So, got a bit more coconut oil to continue adding in. Coconut oil loaded in, you're going to see me turn it. In fact, I'm going to do a quick break on it just to dump it all in, and then we're going to do it on high once it's all in there, and you're going to see the different consistency of it. It'll actually become this like white creamy milky texture, and that's kind of when you know it's mixed properly. It's all kind of blended in together, and the texture's almost more like a milky white blend. So we just put all the coconut oil in, we turned it off and removed the beater in the middle because that just made it easier. Now we're going to turn it on slowly and start mixing it all together. And we're going to slowly increase the speed. I forgot to add the vanilla. The vanilla does nothing at all to this other than it smells really good. So I'm going to be pouring a little bit of vanilla in there right now. I don't really think it matters one bit as far as the potency of it or anything chemical. I just really like the smell of it when I add it in. Slowly increasing it. Pretty soon we're going to get to the highest level. And again, you'll be watching the texture of it. And you'll start seeing it turn more milky white. Once it turns to milky white, you know that it's kind of all in there together and blended. Yes, we are blending it. We've got the whole thing of coconut oil in there. And we're watching it as it blends, and we're it's blended enough because it'll be like a milky white consistency on the top. You can kind of see it happening now as it's blending in. It kind of whips up the coconut oil where it absorbs everything in. I'm going to stop it real quick. Push everything down with the spatula to make sure we get a really good blend of everything left. But again, you can kind of see how it's looking now, the consistency. Very blended, very much a mixture versus a... And it smells really good, I think. People tell me when I'm cooking it that it smells a lot like breakfast pancakes. It's that vanilla, I think, and the cinnamon. So if you wanted to use just this as it is, as a hand cream, you can. You don't have to add the heat to it. This, again, would be just fine for like a lotion or something like that. But you'll notice the more we do with this whole thing, the more effective it gets. And you'll understand a little bit more in a minute. So the next, are you still filming?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So the next thing we're going to do is transfer this mixture that we just did into the pan, because we're now going to heat this up to a boil. The thing that you're going to notice about this is it boils at a really low temperature. It's kind of cool. So right now we're going to put it in this pan. And then we're going to slowly heat it up until it becomes boiling. And then you'll watch, and it's like it holds the energy in. That looks so yummy, doesn't it? Alright, so we've got it on the burner now, and it's starting to add heat. And you can see that it's starting to melt a little bit as it heats up. So it's going to slowly start cooking and boiling. And we're just going to keep stirring it. I really think the heat helps it kind of infuse together as well. Again, I am not a chemist. I don't know how any of this stuff works. I just kind of was directed through things to put together, and later researched them and realized why they worked so well together. But again, not sure that all the whys, but I do know for me it worked. So anyway, so we're now slowly stirring it as it heats up. You're going to know once it starts boiling, you'll see through the oil will become clear, and you'll be able to see like the bottom. The bottom section, I've had it separate different ways at different times depending on amounts. So, but as it's heating up, you'll notice the texture again is changing. The coconut oil, as it heats up, I believe it infuses with a lot of this, and you'll see it become clear. And then there's a second layer that's a heavier layer that'll settle more towards the bottom. That second layer becomes more like a mask or a clay, and the top layer becomes more like a clear, almost not quite like a Vaseline consistency, but it's more of a heavy or oil base, and you can put it on and leave it on your skin all day long. It's not sticky. It's nice. It's just a light oil barrier. Really similar, honestly, to the what is that stuff that you guys did with the tattoo stuff that works really good?
Aquaphor.
Aquaphor, yes. It kind of does a layer like the Aquaphor does as a barrier. Alright, it's getting to where it's almost completely melting down, and you can see the bottom area, like I was talking about the thicker. And then the top will be the thinner as it's starting to separate out. But both are infused with this mixture. So even though they separated into two parts, both of them seem to have equal parts of everything we just mixed in. It's just the heavier is more of a clay mask kind of thing, and the lighter is just more of a topical that you can do without. But same results when I've used it.
Yep. Filming.
Alright, so now I'm adding heat to it. I'm going to get something to stir it with too. With this too, I had mentioned how coconut oil seems to boil at a lower temperature. Once this gets going, you'll see it start to boil, and then we'll remove it from heat, and it'll just keep going for a really long time. So it's almost like it's building up kinetic energy in there, or potential, or whatever. Anyway, seems like it takes on some of the heat energy. I did want to talk to you guys about the application of this and some things that I learned while I was doing it. I would highly recommend, number one, don't do this alone. Get a friend to do it with you. Come to the meetings. Have some support group with you, because this is going to be detoxing your body. And if you haven't done a body detox yet and you don't know what to expect, expect. You may have some things like flu-like symptoms. For me, I would get some aches. I would feel areas in my skin where things would come out during this process. The other thing was a lot of emotional detox too, so I found myself like crying really easily and stuff like that. So start small. Don't start with everything, and don't do your whole body. That's just silly. Give yourself time to get used to it. Pick, I would say, your most troubled area. Start there. Start small. Do symmetrical, because if it does work, you don't want half your body to be like 2 sizes smaller than the other half. So again, pick, like if you're doing a body part that you've got 2 of, do both of them. And you'll notice the texture changing, and just the slow process. But it takes a little, at least for me, it took a little over a month before I would see the texture of the fat change where I was putting this on. So give it time, give yourself time for reaction, and we'll talk about it when we get together and figure out, what's going on with you and how it's working. But don't jump in and do it all at once. You're going to regret it. It's not going to make you feel good. It's not going to work the way you need to, and you need to just kind of take it slow. And let's just kind of do this all together. Try and follow directions as much as possible, and document as much as possible, so that we can figure out what's working, what's not, and kind of make sure that it's good for everybody. So that's a little bit of the words of wisdom while we're doing this. You can kind of look at the mixture now. We're still almost to the point where it's boiling. It's still very much a mixture of things together, but again, as it cools down, it'll separate. And you'll start seeing it once it gets to boiling. You'll start seeing some interesting texture things with it. And we're leaving this filming during this time, because when it starts working, it gets going, and it's very interesting to watch. And we may need to edit out some boring stuff, but it shouldn't be boring that much longer before it starts doing weird stuff. So here we go. All right, we're starting to see some of the boiling happening. I'm never sure each time exactly what's going to happen. It's been fairly consistent lately, but sometimes it still changes a little bit.